Hello guys, today Monday. Well, first of all, let me tell you, tomorrow Tuesday I'm going back to school, but for today I want to start with a lesson called Inequalities. Okay, so please make sure you take notes. Today we're looking at inequalities. So this is kind of like what we've been doing, like equations. But you know, in English, when we have a prefix in, that means not equal. So not equal means it could be greater than, it could be less than, it could be greater than or equal, or it could be less than or equal. So these are the symbols that we're using for inequality. We are not using just the equal sign. Equal sign is only for equations. And that means that when you have an equation, let's say x equals 3, that means the only value for x will be 3, nothing else. When we do inequalities, for example, you could have something like x is greater than 4. So x could be 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth, right? You could have x is greater or equal to 4. Then that means it could also be 4. See? Equal or greater. So your first number will be 4 because it has the equal here. This symbol right here is greater and equal. So when you put it together, it looks like this. Greater or equal. So if it's greater or equal, that means it could be 4 or more, 5, 6, 7, and so forth. Okay? It could be x is less than 2. So if x is less than 2 is 1, 0, -1, -2, and so forth. You could have, let's say, x is less than or equal to -4, for example. Okay, so if it has the equal sign, then you need to include that number in your solution. So x is less than or equal to -4. Now, what number is less than -4? -5, -6, -7, and so forth. So this is kind of like equations, but like I said, in equations you would have only one solution. But for inequalities you could have several solutions. Okay? Let me show you how would you find the answer for x, just like in equations. For example, one-step inequalities. Make sure you write this down on your notebook, please. One-step inequalities. And you know, you could just pause the video anytime so you could make sure you have all your notes. One-step inequalities. All right, let's say you have 3x 3x is greater than 12, for example. Okay, so remember when we did the equations, remember I said, okay, we're going to put a line where the equal sign is. Well, in this case, we don't have an equal anymore. Oops, we have the inequality symbol. In this case is greater than. 3x is greater than 12. Again, our goal is to get x by itself. So in this case, we got to get rid of the 3. So we're going to divide each side by 3. You do the same thing as in equations. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And your answer will not be x equals 4. But it will be x is greater than 4. So what numbers are greater than 4? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so forth. Okay? So you guys need to understand the difference between equations and inequalities. And besides that, you guys also are responsible to learn how to graph this. And when you graph it, you do this. you do the number line. And if it's greater than 4, then I'm going to start on the positive side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just a few numbers. And I am going to look at my answer, which is 4, and I'm going to do an open circle, okay? Don't shade it in. It's just open circle. And you're going to put an arrow pointing to the side where the greater numbers are, because x is greater than 4. Okay, so this is how you graph it. Don't circle, don't shade it in the 4. Just open and point the arrow to the right. Now, why don't we start at 5 since the list is 5? Well, because 4.5 is also greater than 4. So you could have 4.5 in the list if you want. So all the numbers right after 4, all these numbers after 4. Now, let's say, for example, that you have, let's try this one. 2x is greater or equal to 10. 2x is greater or equal to 10. In this case, if I want to get the x by itself, I divide both sides by 2, and I get x is greater or equal to 5. X is greater or equal to 5. Remember, you could pause the video anytime you feel like, if I'm going too fast and you want to take notes, pause the video. Okay, so in this case, this inequality gives me x is greater or equal to 5. So when I graph it, I do this. Do my number line. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth. Now, in this case, you have the equal sign as part of your inequality. So when you do this, you remember the one I just did? You didn't have the equal. It was just x is greater than 4. That's why it was an open circle. But here, we do have to include the 5 as the answer. So we are going to close circle. You have to bubble in. That means part of your answer is 5, because x could be 5 or more. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so my answer includes 5, so I bubble in, and then I'm going to point my arrow to the right, because all the greater numbers after 5 are on the right side.